we can rejoice in this. Catholics can talk about sex. It's really okay. It's really, really okay. All right. So, the 9th commandment. There's one more commandment that talks about this. The 9th commandment says, do not covet your neighbor's wife, stuff, goods, things, iPods, houses, cars, whatever. Do you know what it means to covet something? Covet. Not necessarily take. Doesn't mean steal.
Being jealous. Being jealous. Envy.
It means to want or to envy. Envy. Yes. Yes. So we're talking about, this isn't like me going up to Ellie and being like, man, I really like those earrings. Like, I wouldn't mind having a pair of silver boots. Like, that's nice. I like your earrings. I think they're nice. But if I'm like obsessing about it, I'm like, I have got to have those earrings, and I will not be happy until I have those earrings. And I will do anything I have to do to get those earrings. Okay? I know. Watch out, right? That's coveting, okay? And our God and our faith is teaching us it's not okay to covet someone else's wife, someone else's spouse, someone else's husband. Now, what does that mean for you? Is it okay? And let's maybe we can put this in the context of you. I know it's hard because you're not married and you're not dealing with necessarily married people. But let's say that you're in an office environment and your boss is a man. And then ladies, you decide to wear short skirts and low-cut blouses. And you're single and he's married. And you flaunt yourself in front of him because you think you're hot. He's married. You're not going to do anything. Is that okay? Why? I'm not going to do anything. I just look hot. What's the problem? I'm not having sex with him. What's the problem? Provoking what? For who? You're tempting him. You're tempting him, right? And ladies, we don't always necessarily realize this, but guys go there in their head real fast. And their bodies have a response. You just let him into sin. You just make him want something he can't have. Is that good? Is that okay for us to do? No. And once again, at least the next thing is you might say, I just look hot. And that's all that my purpose was to look hot. And the next thing you know, he's flirting with you, and the next thing you know, you're dating a guy that's married. Somehow that happens. People do it. You know, when you take a step back, and for us maybe, you know, who aren't experiencing it happening around it, you go, how could that ever happen? Well, sometimes it just happens from those little steps. And the little steps turn into bigger steps. Okay? When I was reading about this commandment in the Catechism again, once again, the church was so positive about what this means. And the church used the phrase, battle for purity. And I love that phrase. The church is recognizing that it is not easy to stay pure in our world. It's very easy to conform to this world and to say that it's okay to be smoky and it's okay to whatever, you know. It's okay to do whatever they're doing on The Bachelor. Or whatever else. That's what we're around, and that's what we see, and that's what seems easy, and that's what seems like it feels good, it looks good, and why not do it? The church says we recognize that it's a battle for purity. Okay? What you all can do now as young people is train yourselves in purity. I learned in my dating relationship with Brian that there were certain things that I had to learn how to dress myself when we were going to be on a date. I learned that there were certain things that was hard for him. It was tempting for him if I wore certain outfits or certain clothes. That didn't mean that I couldn't look pretty, that I couldn't feel good about myself. But because I loved him and because I had respect for him, I didn't wear certain things around him because I didn't want to put him in that position. It was a battle. There were times when we were together and we realized that we made a mistake. That we put each other in a situation where we were tempted and we knew in our hearts that we had gone too far. And the reason why we knew we had gone too far is because we were attending Mass. We were praying together. We had a relationship with God. We had good friends and family around us. We knew when it wasn't right. We were listening to our hearts and not just our bodies. And when that happened, we immediately apologized to each other. We prayed and we went to confession. And I truly, truly believe that it was a sacrament, that it was confession. We dated for 6 years. We lived far away. We lived in 2 different houses across the street from each other when we were in our 20s. And we didn't sleep with each other. Every single night when he would come over and we'd have dinner, he went home to his own house. That's hard. That's really harsh. When you're laying on the couch and you're watching a movie and it's 10 o'clock at night and it's cold outside, and I have an engagement ring on my finger, you want him to stay. And he didn't. Because I knew that it would break my heart if we crossed that line. I knew. Because we had a relationship not only with each other, but with God. And that it was a 3-person relationship. And I knew on my wedding night I wanted to give myself 100% to him. And he wanted to give himself 100% to me. And that was it. It was a battle for purity. And we were blessed that also our group of friends, most of them were in serious dating relationships as well, and none of them were having sex. So it was just something. I had girlfriends that I could talk to that could support me. He had guy friends that he could talk to and support him. When it was like when we were traveling and stuff like that, we didn't have to worry about it. The girls with the girls, the boys with the boys. It's just the way that it was for us. And I know it's not that way everywhere, but we were blessed that we purposely surrounded ourselves with people like that. And that we could support each other in that way. The battle for purity was worth it. And I've seen it once again in my marriage. I think sometimes we think that as soon as you get married, you can date and have sex as much as you want with whomever, but as soon as you find the right person and you're in love, well, you just marry and everything's okay. But the switch doesn't just turn off. If you've been training your body to be promiscuous, if you've been training your body to constantly seek pleasure and a new thing or whatever makes you feel good, then all of a sudden you're with the same person day in and day out, and then you get bored. Is that what love is? Is that what love is? Sometimes a lot of marriage is self-denial. I love my husband, and sex is important, and it's a very important, valuable part of marriage. But there are times when I'm sick as a dog. He's not getting sex. I'm this big with the baby, it's going to pop tomorrow. He's not getting sex. Does that mean it's okay for him to go take care of himself? Wherever, with whomever? Does it? No. But what if you've trained yourself from the time when you were 16 until you're 30 before you get married, that just please yourself. Just take care of your needs. It's all okay. It doesn't just switch off just because you put a ring on your finger. Does that make sense to you? Are you with me? Am I freaking you out? A little bit? No, sorry. I just want you to realize it, I know that we don't necessarily talk about this all the time and talk about it like this, but I want you to realize that marriage is a beautiful thing, and sex within marriage is a beautiful thing, and it is meant to bond you as a couple. It can bless you with children, which is the most wonderful thing. But when we take it outside of its context, we have to worry about STDs, we have to worry about birth control, we have to worry about unplanned pregnancy, we have to worry about whether or not that person's cheating on you, do they just want you for your body? Am I boring them? Are they not interested? I never worried about any of those things. Ever. I used to laugh when I go to the doctor, because they want to give me all these weird tests. And I'm like, I don't need any of those tests. I'm only going with my husband. That's it. It's so freeing. Can you understand how freeing that is? Our society says, be free, have sex with whoever you want, feel good. People are having sex all the time. They're worried about getting pregnant, they're worried about having STDs, they're worried if they're cheating on the other person. They're worried all the time. And they're unhappy, just like our other prayer said from the catechism. I was not unhappy. I was secure in myself. I knew he loved me for me. I knew that if we broke up, my heart would be broken. Well, I would be hurt, but actually my heart would not be broken because I would still be intact. I didn't give him anything that wasn't his yet. Does that make sense? Okay, that was enough. I think I'm done. So you guys have any other questions? I feel like I beat you up a little bit.